BMW X5, Porsche Cayenne, and Range Rover Sport. Which luxury SUV should you buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Up Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. For this video, I'm going to compare the updated 2024 BMW X5, Porsche Cayenne, and Range Rover Sport. But I'm not just going to review their performance and features. I'm also going to compare the different models, whether you should go for a regular version or a plug-in hybrid. And unlike most other car reviewers, I'm also going to give you an honest review of their reliability and cost of ownership, so that you can make a properly informed decision. Now, I know the car manufacturers might not like everything that I have to say, but I don't care. I'm making this video for you and not for them, so you deserve to know the full truth, especially when you're spending this much money. So let's start off with the updates that have been made for 2024. The X5 and the Cayenne have both received a number of updates, including updated front and rear end styling, updated engines, and also updated interiors with new infotainment displays. The Range Rover Sport, on the other hand, has gone into 2024 with very few changes because it was already fully redesigned for 2023. Now, in the case of the drivetrains, all three of these SUVs have very similar choices. The base versions come with a 6-cylinder engine with an 8-speed automatic and standard all-wheel drive, although in the case of the X5, you can get rear-wheel drive in the US. You can also get a 6-cylinder engine with a plug-in hybrid system, or if you really want to have wild performance, you can also get a twin-turbo V8 engine on the higher trims. Now, for this comparison, I'm going to focus on the 6-cylinder engines and the plug-in hybrids because those are the ones that I've been test driving. Now let's start with the BMW X5. In terms of performance, refinement, and efficiency, this is probably the strongest one in the group. It has a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6 that produces 375 horsepower. BMW probably knows more about inline 6-cylinder engines than any other brand. They've been doing it the longest, and they make one of the best ones on the market. This engine is incredibly smooth and refined with really good power delivery, and it also has a lot of power. It's able to accelerate from 0 to highway speed in just under 5 seconds, which is impressive. And not only does this engine have very strong performance, but it's also surprisingly efficient. It can get between 23 to 27 miles per gallon, or roughly 9 to 12 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, if you go for the plug-in hybrid version, which is called the xDrive 50e, you get a large electric motor that comes between the engine and transmission, along with a large hybrid battery pack. And that gives you a dedicated electric driving range of around 40 miles or 65 kilometers on one full charge. And once you use up that electric range, it gets pretty much the same efficiency as the regular 6-cylinder engine. So in order to maximize your fuel savings, you really will need to charge it on a regular basis and use that electric range. Because of that big electric motor, you do get a lot more power with the plug-in hybrid, 483 horsepower, although it's not really that noticeable in the real world because it is a heavier SUV. Even so, the refinement and performance of this plug-in hybrid system is very impressive. Now, in the case of the Range Rover Sport, we also have a turbocharged inline-6 with between 355 and 395 horsepower depending on which trim you get. And like the X5's engine, this is a very smooth and refined engine with really impressive power, although the fuel economy is not quite as good as the X5. But then, like the X5, you do have the option of a new plug-in hybrid, which is called the P440e. Although in hybrid mode it doesn't have quite as good fuel economy as the X5, it does have more driving range on electric mode when you fully charge it. It's able to travel around 50 miles or 80 kilometers on a full charge, which is impressive and more than you get from most other plug-in hybrids. As with the X5, the plug-in hybrid version of the Range Rover Sport does give you more power, 434 horsepower, thanks to that larger electric motor and hybrid battery. And just like the plug-in hybrid system in the X5, the one in the Range Rover Sport is surprisingly smooth and refined when it's transitioning from electric mode to regular gas mode, which I really wasn't expecting considering that Land Rover is not really known for making electrified vehicles. And that brings us to the Porsche Cayenne. Now here we have a 3-liter turbo V6 engine instead of an inline-6. And that makes a difference because the V6 engine in the Cayenne is not quite as smooth and refined as the inline-6 in the other two SUVs. That being said, it does have good performance with 348 horsepower, and it has very similar acceleration, able to get up to highway speed in just under 5 seconds. The plug-in hybrid version of the Cayenne, however, which is called the Cayenne E-Hybrid, is not quite as impressive as the other two. With a full charge, it's only able to travel around 25 miles or 40 kilometers, and the fuel economy is not quite as good as the X5 either. So this is one I would say that is not really worth considering as a plug-in hybrid. I would just go with the regular Cayenne. But then again, in the case of the X5 and the Range Rover Sport, I'm not really sure whether the price premium of the plug-in hybrid is really worth it either. The base 6-cylinder engine powertrain in both SUVs already perform extremely well, and they're already reasonably efficient for what you're getting. And on top of that, not only are you going to save some money on the purchase price, but you're also going to get a much less complicated vehicle, which is going to be much better for long-term ownership and servicing, which I'll get a lot more into later in the video. But before getting into that part, let's talk about how these three SUVs feel on the road. All three of these SUVs come with a lot of sophisticated chassis technology, including adaptive air suspension, different drive modes where you can change the way they feel, and also advanced features like torque vectoring and rear wheel steering are also available. But the bottom line is this: no matter how you option them, all three of these have a very distinct feel and feel quite different. No question, the Cayenne is the sports car of the group with the best handling, best cornering performance, but also the stiffest ride. Although it's still comfortable to drive on a regular basis, this is not the SUV you want if you're looking for the ultimate comfort and the softest ride. The Cayenne is the proper sports car of SUVs, and that really shows with the way it handles. So if you're a more aggressive driver and just looking for a fun-to-drive SUV, the Cayenne is the one that you want. And the Range Rover Sport is on the complete opposite end. This is the one that you want if you are looking for that comfortable ride. It's not the best handling SUV, but then it's not really the type of SUV that you would want to drive aggressively anyway. And if you just really like an SUV that has that more calm and laid-back feel with a really comfortable ride, then the Range Rover Sport is going to be the one that you want. And that leaves us with the X5, which is somewhere in between. But that might be the perfect thing because it actually has the perfect balance between giving you a very comfortable ride and also giving you really sharp and great handling. And after all, this is an SUV, it's not a sports car, so it's not exactly the type of vehicle that you're going to drive really aggressively anyway. It's nice that BMW gives you that really good performance, but doesn't really sacrifice the comfort that's really important to have in an SUV. So it's pretty clear that all three of these SUVs have a very distinct driving feel depending on what you're looking for. But when it comes to the interiors, that's where they are much closer. It really doesn't matter which one you go for, all three of these SUVs have really impressive interiors when it comes to their build quality, fit and finish, and the use of materials. They all feel like proper luxury SUVs that are worthy of their price tags, and they also have surprisingly good technology too. With the X5, you have a new dual-screen curved infotainment system display with the latest iDrive interface. It does look extremely impressive and functions extremely well, and you do have the option of using that dial on the center console, which is a nice touch. The X5 also has a new infotainment system with an optional passenger display screen and a curved display behind the steering wheel. Again, this is a very good infotainment system that does have a bit of a learning curve to it, but functions extremely well once you get used to it. And it's a similar story in the Range Rover Sport, where we have a very sharp looking and great functioning infotainment system as well. All three of them do have their quirks, and it would be nice to see more traditional buttons and knobs for commonly used features, but all of them are fairly well designed. And they're also extremely well equipped vehicles with a lot of really nice comfort features like massaging, ventilated and heated seats, active safety features and driving assist technology that works quite well, and even plenty of backseat comforts and connectivity technology for all of your passengers. And these are all extremely practical and spacious SUVs. They all offer plenty of room in the front and rear seats, and they all have really good sized cargo areas. After driving all three of these SUVs for a week, I have to say I've been incredibly impressed for what you're getting. But then again, I think you would expect that given how expensive these SUVs are to buy, and yes, they are quite expensive. The X5 is certainly the value leader in the group as far as the pricing is concerned. It's the only one that you can realistically buy for under 100 grand, at least with the base 6-cylinder engine. In the case of the Range Rover Sport and the Porsche Cayenne, you will have to spend approximately $20,000 to $30,000 more for a comparably equipped version. But then again, pricing is not the only thing that you need to consider when buying an SUV like this. You also need to consider the ownership costs, reliability, and the resale value. And that's where things get really interesting with these three. There's no question that SUVs of this type are known for being very expensive to own and maintain, especially beyond the warranty period, and that has a dramatic impact on their resale value. Now, as far as quality, reliability, and resale value are concerned, this is where the Cayenne gains a lot of points over the other two. Cayennes are known for maintaining their value a lot better than the other two. That has to do with the quality, but also because of Porsche's desirability in the market in general. And that means that you're going to get a lot more money back if you were to sell it or trade it in down the road when compared to the other two. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the Range Rover Sport. Now, there's no way around it. This is a brand that's known for having a lot of ongoing reliability and quality issues, and the Range Rover Sport is absolutely no different. There's just no way to sugarcoat it. If you're going to be absolutely honest when reviewing one of these SUVs, you have to address the issue of reliability, which has been a major problem with this brand for many years now. They are just known for having a lot of ongoing problems and giving their owners a lot of headaches, even during the warranty period. It's a major problem that the Land Rover brand has suffered with for a long time, and it has a dramatic impact on their resale value as well. And that leaves us with the X5, which is somewhere in between the other two. Now, historically, BMW has been known for having its fair share of reliability issues. And just like the other two, they are known for having extremely expensive repairs and just being really expensive in general when it comes to operating costs. But with that said, they have been improving over the years, and they are certainly a lot better than the Land Rover brand. And part of that improvement in quality is thanks to BMW refining and using the same technology for a number of years now, including the B58 inline 6-cylinder engine that's used in the X5. So even though this is still an SUV that I would say is still best suited for a 3 to 4 year lease, in terms of long-term operating costs, if you were to buy one for long-term ownership and hold it past the warranty period, it should be a much safer choice than the Range Rover Sport. But again, all three of these brands at the end of the day are really well known for their high operating costs and repair costs. And that's especially true when you get into the much more complicated plug-in hybrid versions, which add a lot of complexity when it comes to servicing and repairs. But if you are looking to have the fewest amount of headaches when it comes to servicing, and let's face it, who isn't? You'd be much safer going with the Cayenne and the X5 with the regular 6-cylinder engines. And if you are the type of person that's really sensitive to repairs and just wants to have the lowest cost of ownership possible in a luxury SUV, then realistically you should be looking at a completely different brand. An SUV like the Lexus RX 500h Hybrid or the RX 450h Plus, if you want a plug-in hybrid, would be a much safer way to go. But then I get why somebody would want to go for something like the Cayenne, the X5, or even the Range Rover Sport because they do have a lot of appealing qualities. So ultimately, what's it going to be? Well, I think the most well-rounded SUV in this group, without question, is the Porsche Cayenne. But if the Cayenne is a little bit too stiff for you and you want something that's a little bit more comfortable every day, then the BMW X5 is a really good alternative. So there you have it. Let me know which of these SUVs you would go for, or would you just go for something else instead? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other car videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and if you need additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to visit carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.